Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL TTT number 99. Greater London Flat is what we were on for 29 kilometers and 2 laps. A little bit different out here for this course today, Dave. I think that I'm Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle next to me, of course. And a little bit different today, Dave, with this course. Not greatest London Flat that we've seen quite a few times actually over the last couple of months. We don't have Surrey Hills involved. So I think we actually have nothing but a lot of sharp little bumps in front of the entirety of this course. I think it actually makes things pretty difficult for the riders out there today. Not that, I mean, it's just a different kind of difficult, it seems like, every week when it comes to team time trialing.
Yeah, I guess that's really part of the beauty of it, isn't it? 99. That's amazing. And Nathan, this is pretty pure. You're right. Today, we really have, as you mentioned, we've seen just about everything that Martin and Steven could come up with. This is right down the middle. 29 kilometers. It's 2 laps, 150-ish. It's 149 meters of total climbing. That's really not much at all. But as you said, there's a couple little pinch points along the way out there. Teams have got to be ramping up. There's a lot of excitement about the 100th week of consecutive weeks of racing here with WTRL. We'll talk about that during the broadcast, but I'll throw it back to you. I know we've got a lot to look at. This is a course, though, that we do have established course records on. But as you said, we haven't been out there all that much.
Yeah, we do. We have a few course records. We'll take a look at those as well in just a moment. Let's go ahead and jump out into the racing, though. We will be covering today for the categories. We'll be in with the Doppio for the men as well as the latte. For the women, we'll be in with the espresso as well as the latte in the women's racing as well. The men are on course. 10 minutes into the racing, we'll start getting some splits in a little bit here and take a look at how things are playing out. We'll also take a look at the course records here in just a moment. But first one's out on course for the Doppio. It is going to be actually in the latte that we're going to jump in with right away, actually. That's going to be the ZRG team hammering away for London number 99, actually. So this is going to be, now, for just an update for everybody that might be unfamiliar, not going to have a lot of, I mean, we've been doing this for so long, but the reality of maybe a few people first time being introduced. There's a lot of new Zwifters out there. This is a WTRL game mode in Zwift that they came up with, or a organization that they came up with, a race format that people actually sit in the pens after they go in Zwift and wait for their time to go. So they're each seated off of a time that WTRL gives them to take off from the pens. So the first one out will be in the Platinum League, the slowest time that got entry to the Platinum League today. The slowest time that got entry to the Platinum League today. That'll be the 10th or 11th out there in the times, in the seating amongst them. That would be ZRG for this latte, and they're taking off. It looks like a little bit of a 10-second lead currently on the chasers behind him here, though. We'll get an idea of who that is in just a moment, as they don't have tags in game at the moment, but it does look like ZRG has thrown them in for us, making things a little bit easier. And a nice little kid here too, Dave. Blue and light blue accents with some black here.
Yeah, stylistic. Definitely fits the times, doesn't it? This is a great example. Go ahead and write this team's name down. ZRGRTT3, right? Because you will watch them over the next couple of months. So they're riding in what we call the blob style right now. There you go, lining it out. Good job, guys. Literally these teams now. So I'm going to take a step back, Nathan, but a good example here is this is one team in Froppa. There's literally hundreds of teams in Froppa, but this is the Premier League, the Platinum League, that we call it here in WTRL. So the Platinum League, as you said, are the teams from around the globe. There's, to give you some perspective, in this day and age, there's always more than 5,000 competitors. I would imagine, we could check with Martin, but we're nudging up on 7,000 people that will race on any given Thursday. That's not all right at this moment, though, because it's really quite a lot to take in. But with all of the different time zones around the globe, we look at the best 10 times in each division. Now, there's multiple divisions as well to suit different levels of riders, and that's a lot of what makes this so fun. As a matter of fact, Nathan, I can't wait till we look at our poster competition a little bit later, and that's a really good indicator of the energy and the community that happens out here. So the top teams each week get a chance to jump in with us, and they're part of the broadcast, and there's a special vibe around this slot. But there's slots that are also racing right now, the zones 4 and 5 and 6. This is their time of day. So that being said, Nathan, it's an honor to be a part of this. These teams fight to hold on to these spots. This is the kit of Cryogen that we're looking at now. Love this team. What a great job they have done over the course of the last, I will say this. In the time that I have been watching, Cryogen has never missed a step, Nathan, as far as just quality people and all the different levels. They support each other. They're in it for the right reasons. So good to see them 8.4K into a 29-kilometer day of racing. That's 2 laps out here on the GFL, Greater London Flat.
I definitely want to also highlight with Cryogen the reality of how many teams are racing across today. 31 Cryogen teams. Great little Instagram post. It's a video, so I couldn't actually bring it in. Let's see maybe if we can bring it into the broadcast in a moment. But the visual of Cryogen RDT Vultures, goals, and it just goes down all the way down through the entirety, all the way from to the Sparrows, to the Wrens, to the Merlins, the Herons. I mean, all of these awesome team names that are all coming across as obviously birds of a feather here as they come through racing in 31 teams across all of the categories. It really spoke, for me at least, to the breadth of this team, how big this team is, what a huge part of the community that it is. And I think a lot of times people haven't realized how awesome this team is as far as how they support each other too. So really great to see Cryogen hammering away here. Splits will be coming in just a moment. It does look like we do have a lot of starters out on course, and as we do, we'll get some idea of how the lattes are moving along. As we do have them all started. I don't have any splits just yet. At the 6K mark, 14K mark, and 22-kilometer mark is when we should be getting those in. But shout out to Cryogen. Does look like they got a little more organized here as Roe takes over on the front. It was a little bit of a blobbed up for a moment, but it looks like they've figured out their pecking order and are going to, at this point, hammer on at 47 kilometers per hour with Cryogen. move our way back through the lattes here. It does look like we got a dirt team, DW7, out on course.
Yeah, you make a good point, Nathan. It's the conversation. If you're talking about they're going from blob to single file, that means they're there. They're in the neighborhood of striking the nail right on the head with the wattage hammer out there. Now, when you start seeing the teams that are splitting up, where there's gaps opening up, that's where the teams are really struggling. We're not seeing any of that out here, and this is a great course to find your rhythm on. So again, there's so many details to this as we hit week 99. You have to remember that for someone out there, I bet you it's the first time they've ever joined us. So I was reminded of that the other day. So the teams ideally will start with 8 riders. They can't start with any more than that. The time taken off of the 4th rider across the line. So that right there sounds so simple, but Nathan, as someone who does this, you realize that can be quite a challenge at times.
Oh, it definitely can be. Getting everybody to the line can be
Yeah.
extremely challenging. Depending on the organization and knowing the way to run a TTT well as a team, it's really, really an art. It comes down to a lot of finessing of the power. The way that I compare it to, because I am a gamer as well, is the precision when it comes to, I play a lot of FPS games, or even if you play a lot of strategy games as well, the precision and timing for that strategy, knowing when to feather the power, when to burst the power, when to make sure you're steady with the power. There's your controller essentially is the watch you're putting down into the game through your pedals, and it's obviously when you're gaming or any other kind of skill, a lot of times you're using your hands in order to try and make that happen. But through the power of the legs, there's a similar thing happening in a pack though, and learning that dynamic in the pack in real life, and then the pack here in game, and then how to run a TTT amongst the pixels here. A lot of newcomers to the world of Zwift, they feel like we've said this a lot of times, this exercise competition. It's just whoever's pounding the most watts. But there's a reality here, and the reason why the TTT has gotten so popular is it actually accentuates, it brings out the reality of the tactic, the skill of being able to use the controller that you do have, which is the wattage being produced through the legs, and finding those perfect intricacies between each of the avatars that you're trying to work with on your team, who's got what at what times to work with. And I think that is exactly why we have 5, 6, 7,000 or more competitors week in and week out, Dave. And you try and watch it out on screen. The other cool thing of it is that with each one of those skill sets, you really start to develop different teams with different ways of using those skill sets and different team tactics, from the blob tactic, from the traditional straight line, everybody takes a pole and straight to the back. Some other surging tactics that we've seen start to develop out there as well, with 3 or 4 in the front, always taking surges, 3 or 4 resting up, waiting for their turn to take a swap through. So it's been really interesting seeing how the teams take those tactics from each individual and incorporate them into the team as an overall.
Yeah, well put. The stronger riders on a team, Nathan, are asked to take longer, harder pulls, but not go faster than the team can afford to travel at. It's really such an interesting dynamic out there. So as we make our way out into the racing today, we'll start looking at these times that come in. They tell us a lot. When we talk about the women's race, that there's always a really interesting battle that goes on. Some of the biggest stars in esports are definitely in our WTRL race, and riders like Lucy Charles is a name that comes up. She in triathlon is a dynamic force. I'm not sure if she's racing today, but she's been racing more often than not. So we'll see if the Choppers, that's her team, that's basically a super talented group of triathletes racing out of the United Kingdom, if they're in the mix. We have such a diverse group of folks that compete out here. And here we go. Speaking of splits, you can see how close it is here. It's going to be quite a battle today between TFC Hornet and the Woolly Rhinos. Are our Woolly Rhinos sitting at? I'm going to update that to 8 seconds back there at a 6K check, another 5 seconds back, because that just updated with Hornets coming in front of Rhinos. The team we were looking at early on doing a great job, ZRG RTT3, they slot in at 3rd right now. Again, check 1 at 8:43. They're tied actually with Vikings, Molnir. Vikings Molnar 8:43 as well. Only another 5 seconds back there. So look how close this is, Nathan. That first check here shows us that 5 teams within 18 seconds of each other. It's going to depend on the schedules that they've set for each other and who can hold onto this wattage locomotive that we're looking at right now. Team TFC Hornet with that fastest time. So here we go. It's raining in London today. 29 kilometers. That's 2 laps out here on Greater London Flat.
And looking now at Verto Slovenia, the Straj at 8:48 coming in currently in 6th place, as you can see. Taking over, though, at the front, it is going to be Tomo, I'm going to say here. Hammering away, solid effort here coming from him. It looks like 164 beat sprint at 39 kilometers per hour, a little uphill gradient. This is a section of course that is, for me, this section of course is probably the most difficult that I found on this Greater London Flat because of these turns and the little bits of ups and downs. A lot of times the avatars will move around on you a little bit through these sections, and for some reason it just seems like the draft is just a little bit harder to jump onto through these sections. It might also be that for some reason I always find that it's my turn when we come through here, so perhaps that's why as I'm struggling to get back on terms through here. There is this one section, though, through here. There is a little bit of reprieve through the underground. There's a little bit of it passes underneath an overpass for a moment with a right-hand turn in just a second here. It is one of the only sections out on course here that they will be able to maybe get into a little bit of a super truck momentarily for 2 or 3 riders who might be struggling at this point. That will provide a second or two of reprieve if you have 2 or 3 riders that can take over for them. It also provides the what I've kind of coined as the speed roll in our team. The speed roll would be coming through from the back of the pack, using the speed that you've gained from the draft without having to work a whole lot, and then accelerating through and not sacrificing that speed to sitting in a draft any longer, sacrificing that saved up energy along with speed from the snowball effect. You use that, you pull through, and then right from there, you can actually accelerate your team into the uphill because it's the longest uphill immediately after that on this course. And I think about a 3% gradient. It undulates for a moment. It's kind of a 2-tier, but it is, I think, around an average of 3% for a solid, I would say, almost minute, actually, as they head back over toward the mall.
Because of the unique nature of the courses that we race on. I was thinking about this, Nathan, the other day, that you don't have team time trial races from history, world championships, part of Tour de France's, where there was a little more variation, but world championships or Olympic Games, the courses would be held typically, Nathan, on newly built or in-process construction of freeways. So you had never seen more than a 2% grade. On Zwift, we see a much wider variation in the terrain that you race on. And that's why the technique that you're talking about. So think of this like music, right? There's one way to play a rock and roll song, but every now and then you break out into jazz. And that means you just change up what you're doing for a few K because the terrain, if you're descending at, let's say, 85K per hour, Nathan, things are, you don't keep it in a single file line like these guys are trying to do right here, looking at ZSun now. You have the physics, the dynamics at play mean that what you're talking about 100% makes sense to me. Once you get back down onto the flat, I'd recommend that you get back down into this rotation. And you talked about my turn earlier. When you're taking your turn, ideally, everybody's taking a turn. Now, there will be riders that skip pulls or are just sitting on for a while. You never know, but the stronger riders, I said, are taking longer pulls. Now, Nathan, on your team, all things equal, okay? You're on the flat. You're everything's going okay. You've got 6 guys, let's say. How long typically is your turn? 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute? Where are you guys at?
So it used to be, I've noticed that it's shortened up a lot, and I'm wondering if the commentary actually had something to do with that, because Kate Bates, she came in with this study from her experience. I mean, obviously world champion. She's maybe not in this discipline specifically, but she's been an absolute legend in cycling. She knows cycling through and through. She's been involved with some of the top coaching in the world, obviously. And she was citing some studies that it showed that shorter, burstier efforts will reserve energy longer over time. That if you hang out at threshold for longer than 30 seconds or so amongst a team time trial, that you might get more out of that up front in speed a little bit, but the sacrifices are too much over the duration.
Yeah.
And so
It's interesting.
we've actually cut it down to 30 seconds, and some people in some teams 15 to 20 if they're not the stronger riders amongst the team. And I actually wonder if something that's closer to 20 seconds amongst a very, very strong team, if they're well oiled, they really know how to finesse their pulls through, they know how to use their depth perception in game and not lose speed from swapping so quickly, that if a team is pulling 20 seconds, they might be able to do 6.5 to 7 every time through if they're getting the right amount of rest. So, but at the same time, those kind of speeds, the knife's edge of losing the gap and then the punishment for having to close down a gap at those kinds of speeds is so high. So yeah, shorter though has definitely been the trend, it seems like, at this point.
A team like PO Auto, Nathan, I love hearing that. That's the process that we're in. You never stop learning, relentlessly learning out here for our team time trial squads. I love this in esports. WTRL changed the game. Imagine if we didn't have this coming into the pandemic, how different all of our mental health states would be. So PO Auto, Nathan, what they would do it's pretty incredible, to be honest. I should ask you your turn. The other number is, what is your watts per kilo that you're looking to produce up there? Because those guys were hitting the front. They would typically hit the front for 30 seconds, almost exactly. They would go up to, let's call it 7.5 watts per kilo, keep it exactly there, and then drop off and get back into the rotation and wait to do it again in 3 minutes and 30 seconds, right? It was that scheduled. It was that precise, surgical, what they were doing. That application of power was mind-blowing, and that's why they really were, it's a conversation that's always going to continue, but they're one of the best teams in the world at this, which is esports team time trialing, which is, I think that Zach Nair and a few other people have written articles now saying that this right here, what we're doing, is the closest simulation of actual racing that you will find. I completely agree with that. I think it's super cool. It's brought the team time trial wasn't on life support. They were digging a 6-foot hole to bury it, Nathan, 2 years ago. No one talked about team time trials. No one cared. It was too complicated, too much equipment and hullabaloo around even doing a team time trial, that people had given up on this in real life. Well, WTRL has not only brought it back, it's come roaring back. And it's so cool to see teams embracing this at all levels, because I have got a big shout out that I'm sending to some of our Scottish Zwifting friends. I love their energy coming out of there, Nathan. We talk about the community, right? It seems like every week we find new cool people doing this out here, and I love the fact that, the lattes, the frappes, there are some real battles. And let's take a look at this one. 1 second difference right now, folks. ZRG RTT3 has come on strong. They are rolling like a freight train through London right now as they take Team ODZ and put the Destroyers of Cookies 1 second back at that 14-kilometer check. Here we go, Nathan. This is turning into a Donnybrook here in London.
Absolutely awesome. I'm loving that the lowest seed coming in is currently leading things out here with the ZRG. Absolutely awesome to see. 8:43 they came in, though, and the 8:30 there from the TFC Hornets, they're going to have to keep on making some time up on them, I think. It does look like ODZ Destroyer Cookies, who we're looking at right now, Andy Lawton, Messenger, Chambers, Brett E here, they definitely are on a little bit of a roll here. They're on a comeback for the day, because at the 6K mark, they're at 8:51. They were about 8 seconds back, it looks like, at that point. Now they brought it within 1 second at the 14K mark. So it's great to see ODZ coming on strong the second half of this race here in the lattes. To answer your question earlier there, Dave, in the Doppio, we recently got an upgrade for OTR Hayes that I race with.
Congrats.
On Thursday nights to the Doppios. I think we would have won last week, actually, if we didn't have a mess up on the downhill section on Watopia. We did the Watopia for 2 laps, or the it was the 8. We did the was it Magnificent 8, correct? Last
Mag
week?
8.
So yeah, so we did Magnificent 8, and on the downhill of the Watopia forward, so Watopia forward, we did that reverse, right? The intense downhill, there was a team at the bottom of the hill. And I accelerated through and got us into Super Tuck. And Caleb Carl was there with us. He guest rides as well, and a couple others. And 2 of our guys weren't expecting us to be 10 kilometers faster an hour than them on the downhill, and they thought they could just Super Tuck in. We immediately gave them a 2-second gap, And as we hit that other team, my goal was to just fly through them. Well, we immediately separated ourselves. We got mixed up with the team. We had to back off and wait. It was a solid 30 seconds, maybe a minute even of wasted time, messing around, getting back up together. But if we wouldn't have waited, we were so early into our race. I was thinking if we don't get back together right now, this is going to be the worst suffering ever because my breaks are going to be short. And you were asking what we pull at? Yeah. I want a minimum of 6, but if I'm going good, it's 6.5. Like 6.5 on the front is what I'm hoping for. And then from there if I can I jumped to 7, but I can't hold 7. I have to hold maybe around 6 to 6.5 on the front of the of a Doppio. Now that's not Premier Division though, right? Like Premier Division is the next level. It's kind of like, from my perspective, it's kind of like elite domestic or pro Conti racing versus World Tour. Like that's like World Tour in the Premier Division level.
What PO Auto does, right? I mean, you guys are very, very close
exactly.
to that.
We're fast, but we're not winning Premier Division fast. That's for sure.
And well, it's all perspective, isn't it? Because what is your normal pull for me is my 5-second all-time best power, right? So
it is all perspective. That is true. But
I love that too. So
ODZ holding on here. We're looking through Woolly Rhinos though. Look at that. Solid times coming through from Woolly Rhinos. This is turning out to be quite the race in the second half.
Well, as you said, Nathan, we start the teams in reverse order based on how the seeding here. So the fastest teams head out last, which means now we've got all of the checks in from that second, the splits in from the second check here, I should say. So that 1938 for the RR Woolly Rhinos will be the fastest, but it's only 4 seconds faster. Here we go, folks. Team TFC Hornet at 1942, and then it's pretty close. 9 back to ZRG RTT3. So they had that fast time early, and it still remains very solid. ODZ Destroyer of Cookies are only 1 second behind them, and then we've got 2 teams tied just 2 seconds back. You can see what kind of bike race we've got on our hands right now in the latte class here, Nathan. Boy, these teams are all hitting hard out here today in London. So you see that 18.7. That's how far in they are for a 29K Sufferfest today in London. So about 2/3 of the way there right now. Running time at 26:15. We said there's 149 meters of climbing out here today for all of our teams on this course. But boy, the RR Woolly Rhinos are being pushed by TFC Hornet here. That's going to be a real battle to the line. These teams, Nathan, you said this the other day. I couldn't agree more. You never get more out of yourself. You never dig deeper than when you race in this format. There's something about not letting your teammates down. It goes even beyond not letting yourself down, than that another 5% deeper that you can go when you're all in and committed and love your team. And I know a lot of these riders really, really do. Nathan, I want to just take a moment and thank Elaine. I know that you're a big fan of people in the community that really step up, and Elaine, you are that for sure. You're our employee of the month as helping out. Actually, I'm just kidding. We don't really have one, but I'd give it to you. Live by Cycling. Elaine was really helping out Nathan, with it sounds like graphic design expertise to me. So, Elaine,
just want to give a shout out here real quickly to that because next week, everyone, as we're going to jump on over for a moment in just a moment to the women's race in just a second, as well as we'll take a look at how things are playing out in the Doppios. But as just a heads up, everybody, as you're looking forward to next week, it will be WTRL number 100. So we're going to hype that up a little bit today during the broadcast here. And Elaine, thanks a lot for putting together this video here. Let's take a quick little look at it as the announcement. Celebrating our 100th TT. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm really, really, really excited here for that 100th TT. We're going to have a great time out there. We're out on number 99 here, still right here, currently here. But Elaine, big shout out to her. She's been doing a lot of work in the background for sure. And Live by Cycling, as well as obviously a participator in the events as well. But
What's
we are jumping in with Art Nuclear.
Yeah,
Live by Cycling. Live by Cycling.
Right.
Live by Cycling, who she's riding for here. But now jumping in with the lattes here. It does not the lattes, excuse me, the Doppios as they're out on course. We'll see if we can find the right splits here. As it is going to be Adam Racing Nuclear 1816. So not having the most competitive time here. It does look like WEZ. It's really solid time coming in with a 1737. But Cryo DT Vultures, they just seem unstoppable recently. Wes is the first ones through the 22K mark, so that's why we do not have the rest on that leaderboard. But if you do look at the 14K, it was Cryo RDT that were leading things out. VCR Doggo's coming on through, not going to be even close to WEZ. Waiting on that time from Cryo RDT, and I have a feeling it's going to be blowing everybody his way because Cryogen have been the dominators of this category week in and week out.
Yeah, this is the era of the vulture, no doubt about it, Nathan. We'll have to start. This is where you go from, oh, good job, guys, nice win, to, wait a second, how many wins do they have now? We're starting to look at, they're becoming the men's version of Socks for Watts at this point. And we'll see if they can post up another big one here today in week number 99. So this is ART Nuclear that we're with, the Doppio category here, the very, very high end. We have raced out here before, but for the teams, there's not too much that you need to know as far as when you look at the course profile here. It's pretty straight ahead. There's not a whole lot of data harvesting that you need to do beforehand. They'll know how to race this course. It's just, are you going to be able to be up to scratch out here today? And this team is down to 4K to go. We're going back to the pens right now. This is a great look. So you have your time that you've been assigned by WTRL. You know which pen you're in, first of all. Then you and your team will be organized, communicating on, usually it's Discord, so the riders are able to actually chat. They will be all synced up then. They'll have their organization in place and know what time they roll out. And I have a feeling that we'll watch the banner drop. And when the banner drops, don't expect the team to go.
So the banner has dropped. The banner has dropped.
It
has dropped. And now Story being the first one to go, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there, they have the one next to their name, so they're the first ones to go. The lowest seed, because we do go in reverse order of the best of the times. So it's the slowest time, the fastest time. Winners all the way down to the lowest qualifying go first and then are chased by everybody else. So Story Racing, first ones to go. That was a good look at how it plays out in the pens. Not your usual Zwift start, although it is very fast once it is time to go, as you see everybody just trying to get organized here, because the quicker you pick up speed, the more seconds you gain on everybody else from that point forward.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the crazy math of trying to set records where getting up to speed quickly, I mean, when we look at our friends who race on the velodrome, that's the name of the game. You put a monster gear on that bike, and that acceleration is where, so much, you can't win the race in that first 100 meters, but you certainly can't lose it. So the teams all have their stagger. They're rolling out as
something I want to point out here,
actually,
really quickly with Bartlett. Look how she's got 3.0 watts per kilogram, but not moving. Okay, so Nikki Bartlett, she's obviously very experienced when it comes to the Zwift. She's been doing this a long time. She has pushed A on the screen so that the pairing screen, she has the pairing screen up, which means you will not move, yet you can pedal. So if you have the pairing screen up, you can continue to warm up, and then with about 30 seconds to go, I get out of the pairing screen and make sure that I'm ready to go. I stop pedaling, 0 watts per kilogram, essentially. So we did just see Sunrise take off just a moment ago. And it will be Story Racing 2 that'll be taken off in just a sec. Oh, this is Story Racing 2.
There's a big name. Yeah, so Nathan, that's something that's part of the process and learning how to do this that I think one of the biggest questions riders have. So I bet you they'll be replaying that segment to figure out exactly what you're talking about. We're in with the SRT2, getting out
this
to
would be Sunrise. My mistake. My mistake. Sunrise. It says Sunrise Racing Team 2. It says. They are in SCR kit, though. That's a good call-out.
Good-looking kit. I guess that would help and influence your decision for sure. So Kate Spicer right here. Good example, though, of a team getting their organization together here. so much of this, as repetition is the mother of learning. So having done 10, 20, 30 starts, some of our Socks for Watts riders, they've done this 40, 45, 50 times even. Make it even more than that when you start factoring in that they race in the Premier League and would have done 7 team time trials just racing in the 2 seasons of Premier League out here. So, or ZRL, I should say. Okay, so Catherine Carey was a big name, but 2 solo wins this year, and part of that Sisu I Race Like a Girl team that is on the rise in a major way. And Catherine Carey is certainly one of the most talented esports racers out there. That's not even arguable at this point. It's how far can she go with this whole thing? And we look at a team, Nathan, that is absolutely in the hunt for a big win out here today in London.
Looking at Sisu as they get off on course here. It's going to be Sisu 2 that we're currently looking at. And then the
sorry.
So Watch 2 are going to be coming through. And then the top Sisu team will be out on course in just a moment. So seeing the women take off out on course, let's make sure to jump in with the Doppios as we haven't checked in with their times too much so far here today. It is going to be Adam here making their way to the line. Nuclear as Adam Racing Team Nuclear 28:43, little ways off. Cryo RDT continue to extend their lead as we look at WEZ making their way to the line. I think they caught the Nuclear team and are just flying to the finish line here. Solid time, and I think they're going to take second on the day if they keep with where they were heading to the line there.
All right, so jumping in with our Doppio category, into it's 29K of racing. When they hit that finish gantry, we'll know exactly how many K of racing it's scoring at the top of your screen here.
Jumping over to VCR Doggos as they hold down a third place right now, 27:58. Still a battle with the Red Giants, most likely. WZ, I think, it walked away with it, though, for second place, as well as Cryo RDT. The level just seems like it's really separated between these teams in this Doppio class at the moment. Maybe get some qualifiers coming up from the Espresso. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to end up playing out for any of those teams for the Platinum League. And in the Espresso, we did have quite a few more. And we might see some times as well coming right up against the Doppio times. A lot of times you do have that edge as you do see Innovation, Alien Monsters. Again, a couple of sub 28s there. So obviously these teams battling to get into that Doppio as well.
Yeah, 12-second difference there between first and second in Doppio. So we'll see how World Elite Zwifters can do here, as they've certainly, it's within striking distance, tantalizingly close out here. Here's the mighty Z-Sun R kit. You can see they're about 1K from the finish.
Yeah, Z-Sun R, they were holding down that fourth place. They may be able to catch the VCR Doggos, but the Doggos, I think, had a little bit of an advantage having more riders out on course. There's only 4 here in this Z-Sun team with the Red Giants. 6.3s, you can see, get an idea of what we were talking about earlier. This is the kind of watts that you need on the front to win these kinds of races here. 440, 443, 450, 6.7 consistently here coming from, it looks like they're out of Poland. Vale sitting in at 5.1 and then pulling right on through. Looks like Derek's going to back on up. A little bit different strategy here from the Z-Sun rider, but having only 4 riders, you have to be very careful with how you back off. If you go to 0, you can find yourself pretty quickly outside of 5 meters. And if you, especially with this last 500 meters or so, you don't want too much separation because it's going to be an all-out sprint to the line here in just a moment.
Yeah, the throttle just goes all the way open here in a moment, and that's really right about now for these guys. So you can see
depending on what's left in the legs, right? Depending on if there's anything left in the body whatsoever. I mean, you expect a full-on sprint from your body, it just doesn't want to give anymore. But Eddie Uli now, this is a reason.
Right.
There's a reason
you stand
here.
Up and then meet. Yep, go ahead.
Well, Eddie Uli, I mean, look at the crowd, boys. They're about to come to the line. And what a stacked team. These guys absolutely flying out there. They really showed their stuff in the ZRL. Eddie, a rider who's won multiple races with the Zwift Racing League as well. We do have Kohler on the front here out of Germany. They'll hammer away 7 watts per kilogram, leading it out for that final sprint. And a little bit of a separations here. I think they've really pushed the team out here today as Martins is struggling even as they get a little bit of a gap. And it's not going to matter, though. Taking down the Doppio class, I think, pretty easily as Eddie comes on through with 11 to pull them to the line.
Wow, and look at the number of riders, shows you the depth that they have, and that just is one of the reasons this team has become the top of the table here. So the Vultures crushing it. We'll see if that time holds on. It certainly looked like they had the day that they were hoping for out here. World Elite Zwifters, the challenger, really the last team left with the chance to take away the crown out here in London. So that's going to start wrapping things up there for the Doppio men.
Doppio men across the line. The latte men, still a few of them out on course. We'll jump back in with them in just a moment. We're in with the women, though, with Sisu do, as it is going to be Hansen. Jay Hansen, Kaplan taking her pole, though. 4.6 watts per kilogram at the front. Yates, Campbell, Majors, a little bit of a gap here. Sisu do need to get it together because this could be a moment where they sacrifice seconds if they do not close this down immediately, especially with this little 180 turn coming up. That is a section where it actually increases the gap a lot of time with a larger pack ahead. Major has to kick now, 4.5 as you see it coming from her, but as Hansen holds on at 5.3, this is a waste of energy at this point for these riders behind, as maybe Campbell was the struggling rider, and it's Majors that's trying to pull it back together as Hansen continues on with the speed. Yates trying to pull it all back together. It looks like, you see the way that the avatars are now just stringing it out just enough to try and find that draft for the riders that are trying to get back on terms. It looks like Major's just going to get in with Kaplan, and this is going to be the moment I think that it is going to weld back together. Perhaps, as I think Kaplan is the stronger rider that can bring this back. So nice job. That was a moment where they could have lost a lot of speed, a lot of time, and instead they stretched it out enough that everybody could find a wheel. That was so well done.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, is constantly adjusting out there. These teams are like an amoeba, right? The shape is always changing, but you're constantly trying to correct, like homeostasis even, always trying to find that perfect, the slipperiest formation that you can, where you can apply the most power in that equation. So, Sisu do and Sisu I race like a girl. We have so that's two teams that we'll be paying attention to out here. I am hearing that the WRT Sox for Watts team did not take the start today. It was planned. Nathan, is there just taking a week off to get ready to look for a big ride on week number 100 next week? They're the winningest team in WRT history, WTRL history, as just taking a look here at Majors, the Sisu team, Sisu I race like a girl out here, will be one of the teams to watch without any doubt.
Yeah, and that's actually going to open up a pretty
Changes
big...
up things a lot,
yeah,
doesn't it?
That's
with
going to
no
open up a
WRT
little
out
bit,
here. Yeah.
a little bit of a gap there for some riders to fill in. I think the top spot is definitely going to be looked after here from some of these other teams, thinking, all right, well, it's our chance here with an opening.
No choppers
Cassie
either.
Baldy
right?
has jumped in with this team, though, so there is some strength that has gone across, it looks like, to the other Sox or Watts team. They picked up one or two in order to take that second team maybe to a better position here as the Aero Unicorns are making their way around on course.
This is Aero Unicorns enhanced edition. Because Cassie Baldy is one of the absolute cornerstones of the WRT team. So she decided, I still want to race. So that's one of the beauties of having multiple teams in the league. That's for sure. And you can move to the team that suits you for that week. And some of these riders are, their trajectory has them on the WRT team for next year. I'm sure they'll be filling in some of those slots. So again, we start with 8 riders. Time taken off of the 4th. 29 kilometers of racing out here today on a course that is not necessarily novel to the riders. This is, again, what they do for Team Time Trialing. Greater London Flat. It fits the bill, that's for sure. This kit has become very, very well known. And as we were talking about cryo, Socks for Watts has come along in the last, well, they've been around for more than a year, but certainly they've picked up a ton of momentum in the last year here. And here's one of the riders that's a leader in that movement in women's, and now I should just say women and men's racing. And that's one of the cool stories as well, that some of these women's programs have been so successful that the men want to get involved with their own teams as well, just like Socks for Watts. James Eastwood is an incredible guy and really brings a lot to our community, that's for sure. So thanks for all you do out there, James. Let's take, well, no splits yet. They'll be coming right up for us here, though, from that 6K check.
As we jump around here a little bit, let's see if we can find a few more of the women's teams, as it is going to be TFC that are making their way around. This is going to be Vixens at the 5th seeding out there today. Cryo RDT Wrens will be chasing them, and then Sisu I Race Like a Girl, 7th seed out there as well. So that's the current situation. It does look like Seal now taking over at the front. This has been a name that's been showing up a lot in the world of the TTT as well as the ZRL. Be on the watch out for Seal. She definitely has been showing a ton of strength amongst women fields recently. And look at her, 7 watts per kilogram on the front, 159 beats per minute, pulling through at 41 kilometers per hour. Definitely a leader amongst this Vixen team.
All right. So as we really going to be focusing now more on the women here, it's the same story as what we've seen. This is a kit that has been around and certainly well known and respected, TFC. We've also got, so we mentioned the Aero Unicorns and Sisu. Sunrise Racing Team, I'll look forward. I haven't seen them. So I'm going to plead ignorance on their abilities, and we'll learn more about Sunrise Racing Team here. The Reds looking to back up with the...
is what they're named here. They do have a guest rider from the Pio Auto Ceramic Speed Team. It's going to be Roberta Souza, Helen Drew, Kate Portman there, as well as Kate Spicer, Lisa Greenfield, Serena Nelson Hall, and Vicky Stoker. So a few of those names familiar amongst the e-racing. I'm going to definitely try and get an idea about where this team has come from, because it is a newer team and did qualify very recently, it seems. Getting a little bit of bust. SRT was born out of SCR Sunrise Ride. Running multiple teams in the WTRL team races, SRT is looking for strong riders in all categories. A big emphasis with SRT has to be a lot of fun. So it looks like it is a newer team that is trying to develop. There's a contact as well over on Zwift Power if you want to. Looks like they're out hunting. So be on the watch out for SRT. Looking at them,
yeah,
they suddenly have qualified, obviously. And if we take another look at them, born out of SCR, one of the longest standing team organizations and kits in game, very well organized. And it looks like on the women's side of things, maybe looking to develop SCR a little bit more, and now qualifying at the top level of the women's field. Big talking point actually in the world of Zwift this past week. I was on yesterday, and one of the talking points was the opportunities for women's cycling. The other, we just saw the story also in Velo News that released, I think it was yesterday, hyped up as well about women's cycling and the opportunities within the world of Zwift. And I think SCR are jumping on that train here and showing us what they've got.
There's always room for more teams, that's for sure. And what we're seeing then are these offshoots or spin-off squads as well. And that's been awesome, without any doubt. The more the merrier out here. And this is a week, it's a good example of, not a changing of the guard per se, because Socks for Watts will come back all guns a-blazing next week, I am sure. We're missing a few of our teams, but again, it speaks to no team has competed in every single edition of WTRL's Team Time Trial, and you do need to take a break, whether it's mental health reasons or whatever it might be. You don't have to race every single week. You just need to just keep your team's momentum going, and part of that is building up these squads that are more than a team. It's a program that you're looking at. And here is a good example. Someone's going to get a big, big win and the bragging rights that go with a WTRL victory. It's always interesting when you see a team like Sox for Watts, and we've talked a lot about them, or the Choppers, when they take a week off. I love the opportunities that that presents
Yeah, definitely
for the right.
for somebody else to shine. As I mean, they've been almost unstoppable out here today. But the other thing though is there are some course records that can be pushed, and there are some bragging rights there then too, because if you do beat the course records, Sox Watts 3802, ladies, you can still take that down, and at that point you've beaten Sox Watts on this course. So that it might not be live on the day, they didn't take the start line, but if you can beat a 3802, you have beaten the time of the Greater London Flat for Sox Watts. So we'll see how that ends up playing out on the day. It does look like we'll have to wait and see if some of these teams were just set. I do believe Priority T did set that 35-40 just now, as they did win the Doppio just now from what I saw. Now, it didn't win for the day. There may be teams still throughout the day that could beat that 35-40, going all the way through zone 14 at the end of the day. But it does look like that was set just now amongst the Doppios. But again, Sox Watts 38 minutes. Froppa is 40 for the women. Vienna Latte 42. Vienna there with a 43. All the way down through the rest of the men's categories. The 43 at the slowest in the Mochas are our Black Rhinos. Long-standing team, though, amongst the Mocha crew.
So 38:02 is that time to shoot for. And that's one of the great things about esports is that you wouldn't be able to say, yeah, well, it was really hot or really windy. All the conditions, that variable is removed. So you also wonder, there's a lot of different editions of Sox for Watts, WRT. But it seems to me it's been a while since we've been out here racing on this course. So it's always interesting when you look back at the history of the organic nature of these teams. Back in with TFC now. 5 riders left. It's not ideal at this point. Time taken off of the fourth as they're 11K into 29K of racing. So about 2/3 of the way, a little more than that through their first lap out here in London.
Yeah, and if we speak to that a little bit, there is a reality out here that the riders the teams that do show up with more riders, they just have more matches to burn because of it. They have a lot more. You essentially become one organism that has so many matches to work with. Every single person here, because of that extra wheel to sit in on, gets an extra 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever the turn time might be on the front. That's extra time sitting at tempo to threshold rather than over threshold into VO2, over into that zone 6, or even, maybe pushing 7 when you're really pushing hard through certain sections of the course. So, losing riders early on, and that's the tough part. That's that edge where you think about how do you put a team together, especially when you start getting into these upper ends of the echelon, when you start getting into these top categories. There is the reality that if you don't have the wattages that some of these other riders have, and you might end up just be taking up space where somebody could be there that is going to be able to hold the speed high and be that extra wheel to sit on. Because if you just end up falling off in the first 5 minutes, and I've seen this in our own TTTs before, where it's like somebody goes to guest ride or whatever it might be, and they're like, okay, well, here's the wattage we're going to hold, and the expectation is a certain amount, and they're like, oh yeah, we can handle that. I can just, and then they're gone in the first 5 to 6 minutes, and it's like, okay, well, we really enjoyed you being here. That was really great. We like you. There's just a reality of what has to be held, or else we all just sacrifice that another, I don't know, you do the math. If you're doing 10 polls, 15 polls throughout, you're ended up at a solid extra, whatever that is, time 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's not a sport for the weak of heart when you talk about the team time trial. And the reality is you can either do the work or you can't. And yeah, I mean, there's just no quarter is given when you look at these efforts here. Now, obviously, when you look at a team, a good example would be the Vultures there that we just saw in the similar kit to what we're looking at right now, the Wrens. Same story, actually. Keeping a big group of riders and not bogging down the front as well. When you really see, that's a strong move right there from the rider in the orange cap there, taking control of the team, but not blowing the team up behind her. Now everybody can slot in. They're kind of almost, but not quite there. The rotation is happening. Cryo's a team that has done a lot of work out here and is a great team to watch racing as they're coming up on the midpoint of their race.
It's going to be Gamst here flying. Always be on the watch out for Gamst. Very strong rider here coming out of Denmark. This is a name that you can always depend on when it comes to taking strong pulls on the front end. Louise Gamst raced for the Danish female team Mermaid Renault from 2003 to 2007. Now a mother of two. In real life, optometrist actually and store manager.
Oh, wow.
Trying to keep fit and push herself to the limit. Most important, have fun while doing that. So really cool to see. She even has all of her 25, 1 minute and 20 second Strava data hanging out over on her Zwift Power as well. It looks like she's doing a live stream on YouTube as well. I wonder if she's live right now. Not at the moment, but I always love to see that they're out there live streaming.
So the choppers are racing. Seeing them showing up here now. Natalie Lawrence and company. It's interesting.
Looking through, it does look like we'll have to wait for some of the data to come on through here. We are getting some, it looks like hiccups in it a little bit, but does look like Sunrise Racing Team.
See Nikki Bartlett.
853, 901, 1949. I think choppers will get added to the board here momentarily. We do have some new data points coming on through. So it is under Devo a little bit, but it's really great to see that there's some awesome developments happening over at WTRL, and huge. I think Martin's got a lot of work under construction here at this moment. So great to see that he's getting things under wraps. So there, Natalie Lawrence on the front here, 155, 254 beats per minute, as you can see. Chased by the choppers with Cockcroft Gossage. It's going to be Nikki Bartlett, Massey, it looks like. And then it's going to be Sisu Race Like a Girl behind them with Wendorf. Carly Johan is in there. Catherine Curry. It looks like Rose Ligler and Pamela Levine just trying to hang on. Looks like she's going to barely get back on terms at 177 beats per minute. Most likely just took her pole as Wendorf now goes to the back. And again, she's going to have to give it a little bit of a kick. And that's the struggle a lot of times, is being able to get back on terms easily as somebody accelerates at the front. And you got to time it so well. Wendorf does that. And then look, I love that Wendorf didn't come through the next rider. That's one of the most frustrating things in the world when you overlap your next rider. It's hard to do the timing there to get back on without going through the pack.
And I think it's important to note, too, when you say accelerates at the front, if that's happening, you've got a problem. You don't accelerate when you hit the front. You keep the speed. You're carrying through. It's like a relay. You're passing a baton. So you know what I'm saying? Because that acceleration is what puts riders right out the back. That's the biggest
100%.
problem that teams have. So keeping it steady when you take over the front. Now, if you want to bring the speed from 40, let's say 41K up to 43, you do that over a few hundred meters. You gradually increase that speed so that you don't put the riders on your team that ride on the limit out the back door, because that then is counterproductive. That's really the essence of what team time trialing is all about, is that velvet hammer that you have to have. So here's a great example of not ideal. One rider is riding at a different pace than the rest of the team. That's not doing anyone any good right now. Just got to fix that and move on.
And of course, it'll be one of the standout riders of all time out on Zwift recently, Catherine Curry, off the front at 6 watts per kilogram.
And she's so good. I mean,
she is so good. It's just
so.
Johan's
But this
gonna
is
have
not
to close this down. Looks like 5.5, 4.5. Johan's gonna bring this back, but that is a match that could have been on the front end of the pack instead.
That's wasted watts, to be honest, right? So, yeah, I say she's so good, but that's not a shining moment. That's not her best minute when you talk about Catherine Curie, because she's not getting the result that you'd like to with the amount of power that she has. She blew her team up. Now watch that. Look what's happened here. 2 splits. Criticizing Catherine Curie is not what I'm doing here. She's one of the best in the world, right? That's the problem that you have when you're that talented. And see, now that team has lost 2 riders. It looks like they're going to go on with 4, but they've got a complete lap out here. And if one of these riders has a technical, all of a sudden this is it's gone haywire here. So I was expecting this to be the team that wins, and I still do, to tell you the truth, but this is not their best minute right now.
100%. And as we look through, it does look like they're going to have to slow way down. I think Curry, because of the um, situation that she caused there, went back to the riders, is now pulling 7 watts per kilogram on the front to 52 kilometers per hour on a downhill section. As we do have Ligler on the front here at 51, and she will bring it all back together. So she took it on herself after blowing everything up to get everybody back together without slowing down too much. As we do see Levine is on the front at 45. It will come back together and now into a climb, though, making things very difficult. They're all going to have a set pace on this climb, though, at this point in order to keep everything together.
All right. Now we can see Amanda Wendorf here. So this is a team of stars as well, and a team that really, if you watched in ZRL Season 2, this team had the most positive movement of any as they started off kind of a mid-pack, a mid-topper type team. And by the time we were done, they were one of the perennial powerhouses out there. So they're out on lap number 2 right now, just beginning lap number 2, 29 total K of racing. That was interesting. Even the best teams have their moments out here, Nathan. That was a really good example of that. So don't feel bad when this is happening on your mocha team. Just work on it. That's the name of the game. Is just figure out how to not let that basically what was, letting a grass fire turn into a structure fire, into a 5-alarm fire, basically. You want to keep that, just stamp it out. Looks like they're losing a rider right now. I think enough
Curry's
was enough. I don't think that's a...
And she was looking to try and close it down for Wendorf, but it looks like she slowed down too much, went to 0 a little bit too quickly. Probably some communication too on Discord and trying to push buttons here and there. Now she's going to cruise by Wendorf. So there's a lot of acceleration, deceleration, acceleration, deceleration. And needs
I would
a little
love to
bit
hear
more
their Discord
feathering right now in order to really keep everything together. So Curry here trying to go back to help Wendorf off. Wendorf, though, 3.0. Now Curry backing off a little bit again, trying to bring it all back together as it's going to be consistent on the front with Liegler out of the US of A. And now Carly pulling on through at 8 watts per kilogram, trying to keep the pace high. I think Wendorf has said enough is enough, and now they're just gonna press on. It seems.
Yeah, wow. So that's a good example, though. All of that you watched, that gong show for the last few minutes, that's allowed the choppers to do what they do. They're resolute. They've kept their nose down on the grindstone, and the choppers might be back. It's been a while between drinks of water for the choppers, but they are your fastest team at 14K with a 19:24. I know they've got a lot of fans out there, and that time is 11 seconds faster. You've got to think that once Sisu gets synchronized again, that they're going to make a run at this one. So expect another. This is going to turn into a super interesting race out here for the women. Cryo RDT Renz, not far back at all. They're only 2 seconds off of the pace being set by Sisu, a race like a girl. So again, bringing this to you from the midpoint of the race, the choppers are in commanding control with a, let's call that 9-second advantage there over Sisu, I race like a girl. Cryo RDT Renz in third, TFC Vixen 10 seconds behind the Renz right now. Sitting in fourth is SRT, having a great day out here at 19:49. That's a look at your top 5 right now. And Nathan, some of these teams are pretty quickly coming up on that 22K check, 29 total. Now they've got it dialed, huh, Nathan? This is, again, we have watched the complete process out here for Sisu, I race like a girl. This is Carly Johan that we've got with us, a very strong rider. Liegler, Rose, Curie, and Pamela Levine left with the squad. Amanda Wendorf also on this Sisu, I race like a girl team. Again, at that last check, which was about 3.5 kilometers ago, things have gotten much better for Sisu, I race like a girl now. This is the team that we expect to see out there, Nathan.
Looking at choppers now. Nikki Bartlett on the front. Now the turnaround here as it is going to be Kakarov now making 5.3. It looks like 146 beats per minute. Gotten a little bit to work with most likely as she takes her pole here. 38 kilometers per hour trying to get up to speed. Gossage on the back. Massey is in here as well as Lee. 5 riders left, and they are currently the leaders out on course with about a half a race. A little bit, actually, no, 10K to go. 10K to go. And 19:24, the fast time on the day, only by 9 seconds over Sisu, I race like a girl. We'll see if Sisu race like a girl coming in as the top seed, if they're going to be able to get organized. Cryo RDT Renz maybe overtaking them, though, after that halfway point mix-up, as you saw, from Sisu, I Race Like a Girl. But our TTT Rens here are being chased down pretty quickly by the Choppers as Lawrence here leads them out at 43K. But they're only 30 seconds back at this point. The Choppers, as you said, they might be back, and it could be their win. It has been almost since the domination of the WRT team, we talked about for a long time is the Choppers, the Choppers, the Choppers, and they were the the queens of this mode. And now, as you can see, they might be back on top.
This is going to be close because Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, I have a feeling, Nathan, is going to bring that down to a matter of seconds when this one is done and dusted. So with over 6,000 racers on a typical WTRL Thursday, this has become quite a community. And I saw that Kate was asking to get a shout out for her friend Joanne Ernst, who's celebrating her birthday today. So first off, happy birthday going out to you, Joanne, riding with Crush Pod in the Vienna Froppa class. Nathan, it's a good problem to have, to tell you the truth, that we have so many classes of racing out here that we can't cover everybody every week, but our thoughts are always with you all out there racing. As a big happy birthday going out to Joanne today.
And Joanne is in here with Crush Pod. Let's go ahead and see if we can find their times out on course. And this is going to be the Viennas. And for the Vienna Crush Pods, I believe she's riding in this category. I'm going to double check here and make sure which category that they're riding in out here. But solid times coming on through. This is going to be the D category, actually, which will be holding the Frappes. So excuse me on that one. We'll go ahead and jump on over to the Frappes here. And in the Frappes, 2055 currently coming on for Ernst and crew. And 20 solid fifth place so far. They were one of the top seeds. They're going to have to bring back some time here. Soxwat's Oddshots, BLRZR, and Innovation Alienettes. Loving that that new development now with amongst the ladies. They were the slowest team coming in and now are the top team. Great to see them in the Frappes here. And really, I think last week or the week before was the first time I'd seen the Alienettes. And look at them just show up and just start dominating here in and amongst this crew. Maybe even a time for an upgrade. We'll start looking at the records as they come on through and we get the results here. But that is a solid time as they battle against one of the top teams recently showing into the world of Zwift Racing, the Zwift Racing League, the BLZR. On the women's side of things, they were actually the fastest, as they were the 10th to go out, as number 8 is the, and then the number 2, the Crush Pod they were the second slowest, on that earlier. So they're actually making gains out here today, as I made a mistake earlier on them. Yeah, big gains at 2055. A little bit of birthday cake, maybe. Right. Birthday cake power here from Ernst.
You gotta love an athlete that this is how, when you look at the last year and lockdown and what everyone's been through, this has been unbelievable as a resource for mental health and community. And certainly it's great to know, one, it's a rider's birthday, but they're out here celebrating their birthday riding with their team and their buddies. So good job, everybody. This is going to be Courtney Nelson, that's D1 soccer goalie.
Yeah, from a comment, from a comment like 12 months ago. So thanks a lot. Appreciate that from the viewership there. But I wanted to get in here with this Willie boy hanging out over on the YouTube. He's asking a good question here. What's the best view on Zwift to ensure the group is most aero, help people get back on? So I'm wondering if that's about user point of view. Like if you're wondering what view to use, one of my tips is to use the first person point of view. You can't actually get into that point of view when you're watching from a rider's point of view. If you push 3, this is what you get when you're watching or viewing a rider. But if you push 3 on course, you will get pretty close. This is as close as I can get to it, but you will actually get the first person point of view from the eyes of your avatar. And for me, that actually helps you see what the depth perception is to the other riders right up against that wheel and know when your avatar is going to go by or not go by. As we look at Ernst here, flow right on through the pack. Looks like she's making her way toward the front, maybe for a pull here pretty quickly. But if that's what you're talking about, maybe. Otherwise, Perhaps also talking about the way in order the pack will organize, and that's really up to the DS as well as the group, I think, to figure out what might be best for them. Looking through, it looks like amongst the groups here, though, let's go ahead and see what the times are going to be for the Frappes. As we continue on through, it does look like Crestpod now coming through with the 32-34, holding on over Glasgow Tri-Islander, as they were coming in with a 21-11. They were battling with Angular Power as well as KSTE. Those will be the bottom 5th through 9th currently. Onyx Lays, I think, not showing up on the day. So current fastest time, though, will be Innovation Alienettes as we make our way around on course for the final 5 kilometers for the Frappes. We'll go ahead and jump back on over toward the Vienna Espressos here to see how things are playing out amongst them, though, as that is a race between Cryo Renz, the RDT Renz, as well as Sisu I Race Like a Girl and the Choppers right now.
Yeah, this split at 22K. It's so these fastest teams, based on their qualifying last week, are just about to come through. Let's see what we've got. Will the Choppers hold on with the fastest time? Has Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, gotten their act together and closing down that gap? This is going to tell us a lot about what the finale is going to look like. If that gap is larger, then it's obviously the Choppers' day. But if it's coming down, then Sisu, I Race Like a Girl is going to make this a race for the roses out here. And TFC Eclipse will be looking for their final split to come in. This is going to be the Renz that we're looking at now. Luis Gamps, such a strong rider. Love this team. Boy, they're really got a good jet fresh flow going right now through a little tricky sector right there. They handle that quite nicely as Armitage, the Irish rider, on the front as they string this one back out now with about, let's call it 4.5K to go.
4.5K to go. It looks like Sunrise have taken over the 3rd spot, and that was the team that said that they were showing up to try and make a splash amongst the women's racing with SCR. It looks like they're doing just that. We'll move forward to the unicorns here, as we do have LS, and I believe that this is going to be, let's see if we can get a good idea of amongst the Sox for Watts here. LS is going to be Laura Starmer hammering away, as well as Millie McCann is in here, Laura Payne, Jane Despaz, Gemma Sargent, Fabian Du Bernard, and then it's going to be Cassie Baldy as well. Keep on moving on forward, though, as we're looking for this new team. They did catch Story Racing go right on by, actually. So this is a big day here for this SRT2, because they started out today in that second to last spot, actually, amongst the seating, and they are currently looking to be on the podium. That is a huge ride from SRT.
There's the split, 30-03. The Choppers look like they're going to get it done today. 7K from the time that mark was taken, and they're holding on to a 22-second advantage. It's not over. Knowing Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, you could expect Johan and company to take some huge pulls, but it looks like the Choppers are back and in full effect out here in week 99.
38 minutes is the time they're looking to beat out here today. 38 minutes for a course record to try and beat the Sox Watts WRT overall world record on this course. That's not for the win. It looks like they're going to take the win. They just got to hold on. They've got a lot of seconds to work with here. The Choppers versus Sisu, I Race Like a Girl is the situation, but they may also be able to set a new course record, because it looks like they are really coming on hot as they come into this 2021 season. I think there's been a lot of training going on. Looking forward, and I wonder if we're going to see a reemergence. That would be interesting to see, as we do see the SRT team finishing up, because there may be a reality of timing in the triathlon season amongst these ladies too.
Yeah, they should be ramping up. I don't think that Sox for Watt WRT will be in any danger at all, to tell you the truth. That time will not be touched today.
At the so you don't think 8 minutes?
That 38:05 is not.
No way.
That's not going to be obtained.
No way.
No chance. No.
I'm not as good at the the maths as Dave is currently right now for between for over the kilometers
They
here.
should get under 39, I think. We'll see. This is the choppers that we're talking about. Sisu, I race like a girl. So you know what is good for them, Nathan? This is why they're a team that has a potential to be Heino's biggest challenger for season 3 in the Zwift Racing League. But you want to get these days behind you, right? Learn what happened out here, what was going on in the middle part of the race, and let's fix that problem so that doesn't happen to us in the first team time trial that we've got in season 3. So this all credit to them for doing their homework. This is how champions are made. You don't make mistakes on the big stage. You want to get them out of the way on a day like today.
Looking at Sisu coming on through here, they are holding on to 7th place currently, 31-23, trying to hold off Story Racing. Most likely will do so. Story Racing, I believe, just coming across the finish line here. This is a solid team as well with Sisu. They are absolutely flying, though, it looks like. 2:45. Last little effort here coming from Jay Hansen as they make their way to the line. Always
this
good
is
to see.
Dew, right? Sisu
Correct.
Dew that we're looking at. And there you go. There's the gantry. This one is done and dusted.
Jenny
Use a
Hansen
running
that we're looking at here. It's going to be Danielle, I believe. Carly Johan, Danielle Rose. This is between all of the riders here riding for Sisu Race Like a Girl out there. Catherine Curry, Mackenzie Yates, Pamela Levine, Rachel Majors, Shannon Kaplan, as well as Tracy Campbell. Big shout out to this team. Absolutely awesome always to see them out there. See if we can jump back over toward the rest of the racers as they make their way around. Cryogen Renz, they're still in the hunt, 2 seconds off. Sun Racing team who have already finished, so all they've got to do now is bring back 2 seconds after that 22 kilometer mark. I think that this team went out a little bit hot, though, from what I saw. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see, though. They raced to the line. They still got time to make up time.
Speaking to that, though, I that's a good sign as well. Setting high standards. Maybe you can't quite hit that hard, but I would rather see a team doing that, right? Putting out a very fast schedule and just not quite able to maintain that versus a team that doesn't try to overachieve. So we have got everybody now bearing down on the finish line. This is the Cryogen Renz that we're looking at. They're looking to overcome just a 2-second deficit to SRT. That's going to be a real battle out here, Nathan, for third today.
Definitely. These 2 seconds, it's really going to come right to the line. Most likely see a little bit of extra oomph here in the final 500 meters. Gamps now to the front. Looks like it's going to actually be... let's see if we can bring in who's watching.
They're using your theory, though. Group sprint. Yep. I mean, this is basically a small bunch sprint that they're doing to the line. Good job, ladies.
And this last 2, I mean, it could come right down to this here. You know, these last final meters,
the 2 seconds are
so
here.
Much, so much that can be won or lost. And so I think here they were a little bit stronger to the line here, maybe than Sun Racing Team. Sun Racing Team kind of rolled across. Big effort here now coming in from the Renz. Now we're going to look at, it looks like the Choppers with Gossage and the rest now coming to the line. And we're jumping around. Apologies on that, guys. Jump around for just a moment. I think Choppers now just coming across. And Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, I think have already finished up as well. So we'll jump across to the Crush Pods and Ernst as they're about to finish up, it looks like, in the other categories. I know we are jumping around a lot here, everybody, as we finish up, as we try and get across the other categories sometimes. It looks like the Crush Pod's actually already coming across the line. So lots of these racers are already said and done here, even in some of the other categories.
Happy birthday, Joanne. Catherine Curie with Sisu, I Race Like a Girl. One lone person just sitting there.
Yeah. I think perhaps we may have to say said and done for the coverage of
we found the bottom of the barrel.
We found the bottom of the barrel,
racers.
Of racers out there. I think Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, they are still looking to finish up. We'll see if we can jump back on with them in just a moment as we are waiting for the results to come on in. We can take a look at the men's results here in just a second. We'll see if we can jump across, though, to a few more I do see actually the ladies here from Sisu I Race Like a Girl just finishing up. A little risky to bring it across though, I think still. Let's go ahead and jump back on over though to the this is going to be amongst the D's, and that in the D pen is the Frappes. This is KSTE making their way to the line. They're about a K and a half to go.
I should shout out all the energy coming out of Zwift, Scotland, Nathan. I'm loving what they're all about. Z Scott, Caledonia, the Thistles and the Kelpies. A lot of energy. I love the camaraderie. That's a good word for it. So keep that up here in our Frappes. And how are they doing today? Well, it's BLZR with a 31:33. So this is all from that 22K checkpoint. You can see they only had 1 second on the Alienette. So that is super close there with Odd Socks from Socks for Watts. Not that far back at 31:49. Z Sun R, the Pluto edition. 32:15 their time there. Then we talked about Crushpot. They're sitting up in the top 5. That actually is our Vienna Frappes that I'm talking about right now. Glasgow Tri-Allender, 32:45 their time. KST-E, 33:02, and then Angular Power with the 33:46 to round out our top 8 teams.
KST, as we're looking at them here, making their way to the line. Solid effort now, as you can see. And Rasmussen was dropped off. They still have 7, it looks like. So well done by them to bring all of these riders still to the line with them. Really a lot of organization to make that happen. Looking back through, it is going to be Sox Watts now, the next team, making the way across as they're holding on to a 31:49 third place overall currently. Does look like at the top, though, BLZR were able to overtake Innovation Alien Nets. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Or will the Odd Sox maybe be a little bit of an upset between those two teams, as they were just off time as well, making up time as we went on throughout the race here. Here is going to be the rest of these riders, though. Anscombe now leading it out, as you can see here, with Anderson. A little bit of a split. At this point, it is time for sacrifice, but you need 4. Lovell's got to get on right now. Coming out of Wales. Marcus is well here out of the UK. Anderson on the front, backing off to make sure she doesn't split it, as this is the battle for the win. It is a 1 second difference amongst the ladies here, with the Innovation Alienettes just ahead. Looks like they did drop off one of the riders here. Oh, what's going on? Is this absolute mayhem with the Alienettes? Looks like they're going to... Oh, it looks like they do have. That was just the sacrifices. 5. Yeah, they had 5 there to the line. Now, BLZR, it's up to them. But I think the Alienettes, as you saw that just a moment ago, maybe making it happen.
Yeah, it shows you how frenetic the finale is out here for these teams, trying to eke out every second, and that's what it's going to take, just as we saw earlier. In this case, the Alienettes and BLZR were deadlocked as they came through that final check. So they'll be digging deep out here. Here is BZLR, one of the teams in the hunt for a big, big Platinum League win here today. Thanks to No Pins for all their support of the WTRL. This is what it's all about. Finale time into the last half K.
And it looks like they will be coming to the line with 4 riders. They did have to let Marcus go at this point. So Anscombe continues to lead things out here. Anderson as well. Those seem to be the 2 powerhouses on this team right now, as Anderson pulls back through at 5.6 watts per kilogram, actually. Now Pearson now to the front. This is perhaps a winning move. The Alienettes were really flying as well, though, just a moment ago. And it looked like they had a solid 30 seconds over the top of them, but maybe that was just a timing difference from where they were out on course. You can see the times with the riders nearby, so it gives you an idea. But then the times here, as you do see, these are the officials coming on through. BLZR, as you can see, an Innovation Alienettes, 1 second difference at that 22K mark. A lot can happen, though, in the last 7K.
Everything happens in the last 7K as far as those the seconds you're trying to eke out. You got to put yourself in position to be in that battle from the final check on to the finish.
100%. Now, we are going to start losing riders here and there. So we'll start looking into the results here for the men's side of things. We're going to double check and make sure that we do have those. And then we'll jump back in. Number 99 for the WTRL out on the Greater London Flat. The Platinum League is just about done between all of the riders. the men have finished up out on course. The women just finishing up of the frappes as well as the espressos. Let's get some results in here for the men. Just going to double check with our WTRL and make sure that we do have. I do have. Let's go ahead and take a look at our poster competition, actually, though, as we do have that as we wait for some of the results to come on in. This week, they were hitting some of the old school again. They tend to do this. They tend to hit a lot of these old school trends here. And for me, I couldn't
They play on your heartstrings.
They do. They play on my heartstrings.
They've learned
here.
that. Yep.
And this one for me was an absolute winner, only because of how much Monty Python I was watching as a kid. So absolutely loving this. This is going to be the TTT Together Live by Cycling Gold in search of WTRL 99 Grail. Obviously a play on Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Absolutely loving this. Maria, Pam, Catherine, Kate, Elaine, Christina, Catherine, and Becky. Loving that they all have their own numbers too. Like they all have their own
glasses.
Is that their
they all have glasses.
Wait,
yeah.
is that gonna be? Is this gonna be ages? Is this gonna be? Are they letting us know how old this is? Live by Cycling Women 50 plus. It is. That's gonna be all of their ages. So absolutely awesome. Talk about shout out, and just want to honor that as well. Like how awesome that is that they're out there hammering together.
Good for them and poster winners now. That's a good call, Nathan, for sure. I'm loving that energy. So, and which group do they race in then?
Let's see here.
Vienna.
Get a little bit of help here from. I'm going to assume that it's going to be the
Never
Vienna.
Too Old. Their hashtag, Nathan. So I think you're on with that. I'm just looking at
No, it
these
is. It
women
definitely
and
is.
saying,
It's 50 plus.
Yeah, but
so I think they
the,
put that in there for that reason.
I'm not even trying to be that flattering, but none of these women look over 40, to tell you the truth. So that's why I was scared. I was like, are you kidding me, Nathan? Like, there's no way that she's 68. But I think that's the story here. That's incredible. Great job, ladies.
Absolutely awesome. Now, I was a little bit concerned to use this pick from the guys. So, but both Martin and Dave made this pick. So I'm just going to go with it. This one, it's funny, but in the world of cycling, it's also edgy. I'm just going to say that this one is edgy. Okay. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's hilarious. It's well done.
Edgy.
I don't even know if I'm going to show it. I'm just going to say Zwift Scotland wins. I'm going to say it at that. But guys, come on. When you pick your posters, just know your crowd, okay? Like, know who we're talking. Like, Z Scott also wins with Martin and Dave. But I'm just going to leave and go check out the poster competition over on Facebook. It's a lot of fun.
I'm changing. I'm not saying they're winning for the poster. I'm saying that they're winning for general morale.
For general morale. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that. But that results are go, I'm being told. But for Z Scott wins with, and they also win with me as I absolutely laugh, tongue in cheek, but at the same time was like,
adult content. Or slightly
controversial
content.
Yeah, just a little far amongst the cycling world, I guess. And
I'm with you.
And maybe
I like your discretion.
A little crude as well, but very funny. I'll leave it at that. Nice job, Z Scott. Very creative and having fun with it.
And this is why Zwift Community Live stays on the air. Is good decisions by our producer.
This is why we stay on the air. That's a good one. I like that. All right, looks like the results are a go. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here as we're into number 99. Here we go. And it's going to be at the top, again, the Dominators. Cryo, amongst their 33 teams across the category, also able to take down the Doppios with the car RDT Vultures. Dave, amazing racing by them.
Yeah, look at this too, Nathan. Like Zone 4 and Zone 2 jumping into the top 5, but it was the Vultures in our race, the Platinum League, taking it 35-48. Wow. Great job. INC Euro Aliens for the silver medal today in World Elite Zwifters presented by Zeal CC. They sit with bronze today. Evo Warriors they're in fourth. VCRT, the Doggos end up in fifth. Now, again, these are all of the teams that have raced, not just Platinum League, but all of the teams that have finished up till this moment. So the Doggos, fifth fastest so far on the day. Evo Extra Turbo Snails are in sixth. They would be your fourth place team in the Platinum League. Fifth in Platinum League. Seventh overall is Z-Sun R, the Red Giants. Eighth today, up to this point, Rowan King Lions. Adam Racing Team Nuclear in ninth, and Giant Helston rounds out our top 10 fastest times in the WTRL, brought to you by No Pins.
And that is not a course record, actually. The Kaya RDT Vultures did not beat their own time by 8 seconds. So they have an 8-second better time than that, actually, at a previous go at this course. So
close,
Vultures, obviously,
8 seconds.
very close, 8 seconds. But, man, obviously, they are such an experienced team. In the in the Espressos, it will be the Innovation Alien Monsters coming on through in the men's field with 36.26. Royal Rowing ICC coming on through with the 36.39, only a few seconds back.
They're back.
Espresso there. Yeah, and it's good to see them back. It's great to see them back and out here
100%.
racing with us again. So it's been a while since we've said that name. But getting a podium, second place out there. Evo Espresso there in third, coming on through with Innovation Rebels in fourth. RNK Gazelles in fifth. And it's going to be Kirchner Espresso 1 second off fifth place there for sixth. Virtu Slovenia there with the big strong guys in 37.18 and seventh. Innovation Alien Express coming through for eighth. 2 seconds off that seventh place. And it's going to be Dirt Diggler there in ninth, followed up by SC Tormenta with the 37.25. Very close there in those 37s between them all within about 10 seconds or so from... we're looking at 6th through 10th or so. Awesome to see. Frappes.
Yeah, here we go. Top of the table. It's the mighty Evo Vortex. Won a 38-13. Got it done in the Platinum League today. And you can see top 5 teams were just racing with us here. Vikings, Fenrir are taking the silver. Evo Vortex 2. So that's a big day for Evo Vortex. They'll take the bronze medal as well. That's a lot of hardware to take home. Garage Pain Chasers in fourth. Love that name. Dirt Time Chasers BC in fifth. Then we've got out of zone 6, Team CLS, the B-52s. Vikings, Jormungandr in seventh. Cryogen Hawks, 8th fastest time so far today, riding dirty. 9th, and then Engard is your 10th fastest time. They were racing in zone 4. We got quite a mix, but Platinum League stacked up 5 there. Back to you, Nathan, for the Frappes.
And in the lattes, Valhalla Elahorn here coming on through with the 40.01, followed up by 40.23 by the RR Woolly Rhinos in second. Then it's going to be Viking Valhalla there coming on through for third. And then Team ODZ, Destroyer of Cookies, they faded, it looks like, in the second half of the race. Almost tied. Wow. That is only, what is that? 6/100ths of a second? What a difference there between Viking Valhalla and Destroyer of Cookies, right on the edge. Then it's going to be followed up by Krishmer Latte there, one in fifth place. Team TFC Hornet in sixth. 1 second difference between them. 1 second difference between then to seventh with BRT Tequila Chasers. And then GRGRTT3 coming on through for eighth. Vikings Milner in ninth. And then Eat Dirt 2. They round out the top 10 in the men's lattes.
All the teams within 1 minute there tells me that is an incredibly competitive division. Good job, everybody. All right, let's jump in with the Mochas. Love this category, and I love this team. RR Black Rhinos getting it done. 43.48 is where they stopped the clock. Team Type 1, the A1Cs. 43.54 was the time for silver. Army Cycling E, 44.40 for bronze. TBR Renegades, they're fourth today. Kirkmeyer Mocha 2 and fifth. TFC Hawk, sixth fastest time. RR Sumatran Rhinos in seventh. These are our fastest times again from around the globe up till now. I think Zone 8 has even finished. Well, it was Team CLS Delimited Diesels in eighth. C. Scott Thistles, 9th. Team TFC Hurricane in 10th for our Mochas.
And then amongst the women, the Choppers take it down with a 39.30. You were right, Dave, though. That 38.02, I think it was, not going to be touched by the for Sox for Watts. They continue to hold down the world record, but solid result here for the Choppers. It's been a while since we've seen them on the top of the podium.
Congratulations.
Awesome to see. And by a good gap, 26 seconds to Sisu, I Raced Like a Girl. We did see a little bit of struggle from Sisu, I Raced Like a Girl, and I think that was a great point there, Dave, in the middle of the race for them to work that out here before they jump back into the Premier Division for sure. They're going to have to come back to the drawing table over the next couple weeks and see how their TTT can play out to try and take a win. Now it's going to be in third place. Sunrise Racing Team making a splash as one of the new kids on the block. Great to see them out here. And big shout out to them. I'm looking for big things from them as they continue to grow that team. Priority T Rents come on through for fourth, and it's going to be Sox Watts Aero Unicorns in fifth, TFC Vixen in sixth, Sisu in seventh, Story Racing Take eighth, and it's going to be TFC Eclipse rounding out the top 9.
All right, let's move to Vienna Frappes now as BLZR gets it done with a 41-10, and that's going to be right in front of INC, the Alienettes. Good to see them have a solid ride today. They're within 20 seconds there for the silver medal. Sox for Watts, odd Sox, and Vienna Frappe ending up with the bronze. It's going to be Sox for Watts, Sock and Roll at 107 back in fourth. They were racing in Zone 8, however. Back to the Premier Platinum League, Z-Sun R Pluto, our fifth fastest time so far today. Sixth is Kirkmeyer Vienna Frappe 1. Seventh is the Cryogen Blue Jays. Crush Pod, eighth fastest so far today. Glasgow Trialander in ninth. And then our 10 fastest times today include the Evo Comets for our Vienna Frappes.
In the Vienna Latte, Sox Watts Whatnots come on through with a 43.36. Hereford Triathlon Club Strong, 43.53. RWBSH, they're 44.18. Navy Women, 44.28. Evo Meteors there with a 44.42. Renegade E in 44.46 and 6. Angular Velocity in 7th. And then it's going to be FOTSS there in 8th. GSH Gold in 9th. Tight battle between 8th and 9th there. 45.06, 45.07. And then it's going to be the Sox for Watts. Aero Sparkles sparkling in for 10th place. 45.16.
Let's take a look at our Viennas then. Z-Sun R Quasar with a 44.48 will take the gold. Silver to Glasgow Tri Avon in the silver spot there. Fearsome taking the bronze medal. You can see the top 3 teams within 14 seconds of each other. What a battle that was today for the Viennas. It's Sox for Watts Triceratops in 4th, AHDR Bubels in 5th. Angular Momentum for 6th fastest time so far today. WTRL What's Up Bandits in 7th. Hereford Triathlon Club Bowl in 8th. RCC WMN. That's your 9th fastest time, and the top 10 fastest times up till this point, NCTC Mares sitting there with a 46.48. That's our Viennas here on the 99th consecutive week of racing for the WTRL Team Time Trial.
Next week, we've got our 100th coming up here, Dave. It's going to be absolutely awesome to see, absolutely awesome to do. It's going to be on the out and back. The long one lap is what it's being said to be here. I'm loving. So that is going to be an interesting one to be doing for sure. Out and back is, I think, going to really challenge all of the riders out there. So number 100, make sure to be signing up. Registration does close at 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, USA. Next Wednesday, we'd look to be having a good broadcast, to be able to bring in maybe some personalities from the community as well. It's going to be really cool, really cool to have our 100 weeks of racing, week in and week out, nonstop. Big day for WTRL, largest single event out on Zwift, longest running single event each week. For 100 weeks, that's a huge accomplishment. But not by WTRL only, but also the community in general showing up. I mean, it takes a community to make this happen.
And what's great is it's got momentum. It's getting bigger and better. We're seeing the teams becoming more competitive. I mean, look at these divisions here. I mean, today we saw the top 10 times from, in a lot of cases, hundreds of teams are sitting within 1 minute of each other, 3 teams within 14 seconds on the podium. That's some great racing out here. So keep it up, everybody. We're stoked, and we cannot wait to see you back here next week for the 100th race.
Absolutely awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. For looking for more results throughout the day, again, this does go through 14 zones. Make sure to go check out the rest of the live streams everybody's doing over on Twitch.tv. Check out the Zwift category. There's plenty of them going on throughout the day for sure as well. And we're going to be having, it looks like we have a rider who's done more than 90 TTTs for next week. Oh my gosh.
Really?
Awesome. Yeah, 90 team time trials. Obviously, pretty awesome event if you're showing up any week. And I'm addicted. I absolutely I look forward to, I'll be dead tired. At the end of the day, ready to just go to sleep and like, oh, TTT. Okay. Got to make it happen. It's like, and I get done. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best things every single week to join in with. So it's so great. So this is the reason why it's been going for 100. So we'll see you guys obviously next week for the TTT. There's lots of other things going on throughout the weekend. I know the Iceni series is still happening this weekend. I think there's maybe someone else live streaming that. Go check that out as well. Amongst the women's racing, great job being done there by them. And also Saturday morning here, US, midday UK, there is the Badge Hunter series that's been going on with Zwift Insider. I guess we're doing the PRL 100. Ugh. So, if you're looking for a badge and you're looking to go and do Box Hill 11 times,
the best way to do it.
Yeah, this is the best way to do it. You're going to get the badge. We're doing Box Hill. I think it's 11 times. It's going to be, and I think we're racing it at the front. You're getting a ton of help. Exactly. There's going to be thousands and thousands of people showing up for this because of the Badge Hunter Zwift Insider promotion round. I can't remember how many we had. I think there were 3,000-4,000 people who showed up for the Badge Hunter on the Uber Pretzel, on the Uber Pretzel a couple weeks back. So I'll be live streaming that on Saturday morning, not on ZCL, on personal channel. There'll be lots of people, I think, live streaming it all throughout the community as well. So make sure to check those out. So that's what's kind of going on throughout the weekend. And we'll be back next week. Watch out for new announcements of new live streams that are on their way. And besides that, good job to everybody out there. And we'll see you next week for number 100. As always, everybody, great job to the racers, and right on.